Ooh, I'm still calming down. It's now a good few hours after full time, and I am still recovering from Arsenal 3, Aston Villa 2. You can't fault it for entertainment, but you probably can fault it for an awful lot of other things. This weird, freeform, structureless side somehow scraped through against newly promoted Aston Villa 3-2 in the end, with 10 men too. I mean, in the course of this 90 minutes, my thoughts about the game, the players within the game, the coach, the club, everything was kind of vacillating. And it is difficult, I'll be honest, to sort of sit down now and try and make some sense of things. I think what you have to conclude is that this was more difficult than it ought to have been for Arsenal. And that's been the same for most of our games this season. And in fact, I think the last 3 or 4 games have had a sort of pattern to them, where there have been plenty of chances at both ends and this really chaotic feel. You know, you go right back to the North London derby. That was 2-2, and in the final 10 minutes, we fought back from 2-0 down. It really did feel end-to-end, anything could happen. Then you go to Vicarage Road. We had a 2-0 lead, we squandered it. And it felt at the end like it was end-to-end and anything could happen. In Frankfurt, we were, I think, quite fortunate to come away 3-0 winners. It was a positive night for the club. We all enjoyed it, but there were chances at both ends, and if they'd been more clinical and Emi Martinez a bit less impressive, it might have been much closer. And then today, the back and forth, the amount of chances for both teams, we were again locked at 2-2, as it's been the case in the last 3 league games. This time there was a winner, and fortunately it went our way. It could have gone the other way so easily, and we should be exerting more control over games than we are. I think we all recognise that. When we are winning, it is down to fine margins, the clinical excellence of Aubameyang. I think our goalkeepers are bailing us out a little bit too. And we are not winning convincingly. I think I said after Watford, what did Unai Emery need against Villa? He needed a win, but not just any win. I wasn't asking for a thrashing. I wasn't asking for 4-0, 5-0, anything like that. Just a comprehensive, controlled victory. And that's not what we got at all. I know that we should sort of be being positive. We got the 3 points. It's a big 3 points, especially in the context of the weekend. Chelsea dropping points, United, Spurs too, I think. I've forgotten. There's been too much football. But basically our rivals dropping points. And we should be feeling great. We got ours. We're back on track. 2 wins this week. Nottingham Forest on Tuesday, a chance for a third win on the bounce before Old Trafford. I mean, what is that game going to be? Who only knows what that match will be like, or what it will show us. I mean, what sort of indicator it will be, because both those teams beset with problems, really, United and Arsenal. Look, the first half I thought was not great. I think essentially this feels like a team without a midfield. There just seems to be a gaping hole in the middle of the pitch. I know the fans feel that that's a hole where Granit Xhaka should be, and all too often he's not. And I understand that, but I think, as much as I do understand the criticism of the individual, I think it's a bigger structural problem. I think the shape of the team is, well, there isn't one. I think that's the big issue. Despite that, one of our most impressive performances today in that second half was a midfielder, and that was Matteo Guendouzi. He kind of led the fight back, winning the penalty, and the fight back was sealed, of course, by Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang. And those two really are the leaders of this team for my money, almost irrespective of who Unai Emery eventually names as captain, whether it's Xhaka or 5 people. Aubameyang is the leader of this team. He's scored the vast majority of our goals this season. Another fantastic goal today, a free kick. He is scoring goals with a variety, a diversity, a difficulty that he wasn't scoring at Dortmund. I think there's a good argument to make that Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang is getting better. For all our concerns about his age, for all our concerns about, can he play this amount of games, he seems to be improving. He is really coming through with flying colours. And as for Guendouzi, look, he's not perfect, but I think what you look for in a young player, I think you accept there are going to be certain mistakes, but you look for improvement. You look for the way they respond to those mistakes. He had a difficult day at Watford. He had made a big mistake in the first half, let a player run off him for the opening Villa goal. But he responded, and in that second half, it was him who was showing fight, him who was showing character, him who was driving forward, getting into the box, forcing players to commit, forcing that penalty decision. His pass was integral in the build-up to Callum Chambers' goal. You know, you've got to take your hat off to him. At a time when it would have been possible for a young player to hide, he really stepped up. So I'm grateful for Guendouzi, grateful for Aubameyang. I am concerned about the defensive portion of the team, particularly the three experienced players that Emery continues on picking. That will be Xhaka, Socrates and Luiz. Xhaka's taking all the criticism. I can understand that. I thought Luiz was really bad today as well. He feels like a bit of an accident waiting to happen. You know, what Callum Chambers or Rob Holding have to do now to get a start is interesting. I mean, you'd think they'll both play in the League Cup game. Maybe if they do well, they might have an opportunity to stay in the side, because going with experience, that sort of conservative choice from Emery at the moment isn't working. What else to say from the game? Bukayo Saka, I almost said Bakary Sagna there, started his first Premier League game, and I thought was really impressive in the first half. It was a shame that he had to be withdrawn at half time. Not a decision I agreed with in the moment. You know, he had been one of our brighter players, but Ainsley Maitland-Niles was dismissed for 2 yellow cards. I think probably fair, quite a wild challenge for the second yellow card. Not as bad as it might have been, but reckless. He had a bit of a torrid afternoon, and you would see his quotes, you know, last week about not being a right back, and then you see his performance today, and you kind of believe him. I mean, you hope he's getting the right coaching to help him in that position, because he looked a bit like he needed it today up against El Ghazi. And yes, what else to say? Pepe got his first goal for the club. It wasn't his best performance, I didn't think, but very generous of Aubameyang. Another example of him showing a bit of leadership, a bit of seniority, deciding to let Pepe take the penalty. Not even the most convincing penalty, but it hit the back of the net, and hopefully that will give him the confidence boost he needs. I thought Joe Willock and Torreira, particularly Torreira, made a good impression as subs when they came on. And I can't help but feel that when it comes to solving our midfield problems, they might be really important. Torreira, I think everyone kind of agrees on, but I think Willock really does add something. His physicality, his vertical running. I really like what he brings to the team. This was an exhausting game, and I'm not sure if I could hack another game like this. We've seen so many already so early on in the season. You feel like saying it can't possibly continue like this. And then you remember it's Arsenal, and it might. I'm going to be back tomorrow morning with the Arsecast Extra. I'm actually, Arsblog Andrew is here in London, so I'm going to go and meet him at his hotel for a dalliance to do a podcast, nothing more than that. And my piece about the game will be up on The Athletic first thing tomorrow morning about 7 a.m. UK time. It was an extraordinary game to be at and to try and surmise, so yeah, do have a read of that if you get a chance. Thanks for watching, and I'll speak to you on Tuesday. Cheers, bye bye.